Hey guys, it's Pastor Lucas and Esther. We are here talking about our Bible Studies for Life leader guide for our Bible Studies for Life kids. This is for January the 26th of 2020. It's instead of saying 2019, I almost said for 1920.
Wow.
We would have been dressed really differently.
I bet we would have gotten some careful scrutiny.
You probably need a hat.
I probably do.
So this week we're going to be going over God instructing the Israelites to build the tabernacle. That's going to be in Exodus 35, 36, and 39. So we do encourage you guys, make sure you're reading those verses on your own, that you're taking the time to look over the scripture. We're going to read the story with you. The story covers a lot of it, but just having actually that basic frame of reference and knowing what exactly it is that we're talking about is an important thing to do. Our life point this week is that God leads his people to worship him. We're going to be looking at two major points within that. The first is that God cares about details, like God even cares about the little things in our lives and the little things that we do. And he loves when we obey him even in the smallest ways, because it shows that we trust him. If I don't trust somebody with little things in my life, I'm probably not going to trust them with big things in my life. And it's the same with God, that when we trust God with little things, we show him that we trust him with all of who we are. So those are going to be the main things that we go over. Esther, what's Sunday school going to look like for us?
So we always, when we have our kids come into Sunday school, we've always got our teacher there a few minutes early. There's music on. The area is clean and bright and ready for the children. In our check-in process, we always put a sticker on the kids, and whoever is working your registration table, I just invite you to have that person get there early and be ready to make the chit-chat with the people. So as kids are welcomed in, once we get a few of them there together and we think we've got kind of the heart of our group for the morning, we'll go ahead and start off with a game.
Woohoo!
So our game this Sunday morning for starting is going to be a game called Tents. So since we're talking about the tabernacle, if I may, I'll just borrow that for a placeholder. We're going to scoot some things out of the way here, people. Pardon us. We don't have our producer with us today, so
No, he's got a head cold. We can't get upset with Gil.
No one to be the boss of you.
Is this what we're using?
We only need two of them.
Okay.
This is the rest of our tents. Here's a tent for you and one for me. So the goal of the game of tents is you take your tent, simple though it may be, and we're going to try to blow them to the edge of the table so that they land like hanging off just over the edge. You can't see it, but you want the top of the paper on the top and the bottom hanging off the edge, okay?
Oh, okay.
Okay, wait, hang on. We gotta ready, set, go it.
Yeah, well, you got to get your tent fixed.
My tent's fine.
Okay.
You worry about your tent.
Yeah.
Ready?
Yeah. Yeah, I'm so ready for this.
Go.
So that's how the game's going to go. And the kids will love it.
Yeah, it's going to be really good.
Which will go straight into our story time.
Play that game for as long as you want.
Absolutely.
Okay. And then once you've got the children circled up and they're ready to listen to you, you're going to read them this beautiful story.
Ba-ba-da-ba.
The tabernacle was built. Moses gave God's command to the people. Anyone who is willing should bring gold, silver, and other treasures. Skilled workers will build a tabernacle, a place to worship me. Men and women gladly gave their earrings, rings, gold, and gold jewelry.
Wow.
They brought brightly colored yarn, animal skins, and fine, rich wood. They brought jewels and gemstones, oil for the lamps, and good-smelling incense. 2 talented craftsmen, Bezalel and Oholiab, were chosen to lead the building project. Other willing workers helped them build. Every morning, people brought offerings and supplies to build the tabernacle. The craftsmen told Moses, "The people are bringing more than we need. We have more than enough to finish the tabernacle." Moses made an announcement. Nothing more is needed to finish the place of worship. They must have gotten to the top of their
little thermometer
poster.
The donation thermometer.
Filling it in. Yep,
we need 100,000 men's earrings in order to finish this.
The tabernacle was built so that it could easily be moved. Heavy curtains made of beautiful fabric were hung on poles. Artists built the Ark of Covenant. the Ark of the Covenant,
Yes.
lamps, tables, and altars. Beautifully woven clothing was made for the priests who would serve God inside the tabernacle. When the craftsmen finished their work on the tabernacle, they asked Moses to inspect it. He looked at the tent with its planks and crossbars. He looked at its covering of skins. He saw the lamps, utensils, and the altar. Moses was pleased that the work had been done exactly as God had commanded. Then Moses blessed the people.
Nice.
So that is our story, when you read through these verses in Exodus, it really is amazing the specificity of detail that God ordained for each piece of this tabernacle. And you think about that, I mean, it was an important building, but that's just a structure, and now He lives in us. So, the fact that we sometimes don't take good care of our bodies, it just makes you think again about that. Like, you really are important to God. Every detail of you is important to Him. So keep that in mind.
Yeah.
Okay, so then after we have gone over our story time, we have our missions time. Well, we've still got the kids circled up. And this little section, we've been talking about the Songhai people, who are found in the country of Niger in Africa. And so last week, our group ended up with having some kids that haven't been there in a few weeks. And so we just sat there and watched all the missions videos and kind of got everybody caught up to speed.
Yeah.
And then it was really cool to hear the children just having new revelations about what they have access to that isn't commonly had across the world.
Right.
So this time what we're going to do is spend some time just kind of reading through facts about the country, about the people. So I'd encourage you, teachers, when you get to your classroom, kind of review.
This is where Niger is on the map.
Oh, yeah.
This is one of my favorite pages whenever they do this, because it gives a frame of reference.
And we actually have some pretty cool world maps in our teaching area. So if you don't have those, you can pull them up online and just print them out.
Or you can buy Risk. Risk has a cool world map in it.
There you go.
You can play Risk just about the country on it. It's fine.
Our pastor is a fairly competitive person who often wants to take over the world when he plays a game like that.
Well, Niger's in the North African territory.
For Jesus.
You got to get all 5 of them
Take
to be
them
able
over
to get.
for
That's
Jesus.
exactly right.
Yes, sure. So anyway, what I would recommend, teachers, is that you go through this, familiarize yourself with it a little bit, and then find some key points that you think the kids might latch on to and help them kind of remember what's going on with those people. And then what I'd really like you to do is spend some time talking about how we can pray for them specifically. Those areas that are a difference from our children's lives to these children's lives, let's look at that. And when it starts to turn to a just desperately sad kind of situation, what I'd like for you to do is try to steer that toward, that's a great way that we can pray for them. Just like God cares about the details of our lives and the details of the tabernacle, He cares about the details of their lives. And so we can trust Him to take care of everything we need, just like we learned last week. And so we want to be sure and take time to lift up those people.
Absolutely.
So then when we're done with our mission story, then it's going to be time to stand up and head out to Big Church, where we will talk to you at Kids Corner.
So in our church, what we do, we start off our worship service with a call to worship song. We'll do some quick announcements, and then I'll bring up the kiddos for the Kids Corner. The main question that I ask every week is, what did you learn in Sunday school? And we let the kids kind of riff. Not just because it's entertaining, but also because it's what they learned that's really important, what they're retaining and how they're responding to that. And then we'll just ask a few questions. What did the people give up in order to have the tabernacle built? Who told Moses to build the tabernacle? Why was it important? And one of the big things is, why was it so important that it was going to be easy to move? Because every new place where they settled, they had to set this thing back up, and it was enormous, but it was fairly easy to move. And if you're a person who's been camping on a consistent basis, you know the very first time you set up a tent is always a pain. Right. But each subsequent time that you do it, it becomes that much easier. And the tabernacle would have been something that systematically would have been, there was a team that was their whole job was just to set up the tabernacle, that they got there And that's what they made sure that the place for the Ark of the Covenant was ready to go. So
In my study Bible, there's a really cool map drawn out about how the whole camp had to be set up with the tabernacle right in the middle and all the 12 tribes of Israel in a very specific orientation to that. And I just love the order of God.
Yeah.
That all those little things are of utmost importance to him.
they're a big deal. So I'll pray over the kids. Our participants in Big Church, as we call it, will stand up and greet one another, and the kids will follow Miss Esther and her team to Children's Church.
We have a blast in Children's Church. I'm sorry that you don't get to join us.
I might have to sneak in there one day.
I think your absence in
I'll
Big Church might be
like
missed.
the undercover boss thing.
They would lose their little minds. So in Big Church, we are going to we have some new kids who have joined up with us at that point. Some people who, for whatever reason, didn't make it to Sunday school hour. So we like to reorient again with a new game.
Woohoo!
So for this game, this is going to be a Bible skills game, and it's the one in our Lifeway book on page 78. So
Okay.
for this one, we've got children's Bibles in the back. They're actually regular Bibles, but they have a pretty picture on them. So our kids are learning a lot of just basic Bible information. I think last week Bristol came up to you and wanted to tell you the first 5 books of the Bible that
Right,
she
yeah,
knows.
she knew the Pentateuch, which is
Very
really cool.
happy.
Yeah.
So we're going to have the kids find the book of Exodus. And for our younger ones who maybe aren't strong readers yet, they can pair up with somebody who is a little bit stronger. And so you're going to call out a chapter and a verse in the book of Exodus, and the kids are going to find it. And then they're going to tell you what person or group they see in that verse. So for instance, for Exodus 1:5, it's going to be the name Jacob. For Exodus 8:32, that's going to be Pharaoh. And then we have several different ones: Moses, Aaron, Joshua, the Israelites. So for
Jethro.
Jethro's
a good one.
That's a great father-in-law name, don't you
So
think?
good. And every time I hear it, I think of the Beverly Hillbillies. Like,
Yeah.
even within biblical context, I immediately think of Jethro.
Old Midianite dude with a
Yep.
crazy accent.
That's exactly what I think of. I'm
So-
like, why is he trying to flee from the Egyptians? But
Well, it doesn't matter because he
Go get him,
showed
Tiger.
up,
Yeah.
showed up and bossed around his son-in-law.
that's exactly right.
No matter who that guy was. Probably not good enough for his daughter.
Yeah, no doubt.
So anyway, you're going to have the kids find those Bible verses and tell you who the main subject is there, and then you're going to ask questions to relate it back to our Bible story for today. How did Moses relate to the building of the tabernacle? How did the Israelites relate to that? So that's what that game is going to be about. And so then once we've kind of reoriented them again, we are going to play the video of our story. So Lifeway provides us with a DVD that has a little animated version of our story for the week, and then there's an ongoing drama. I got to tell you that last week we had some kids visiting who they are not always with this part of their family, and so they're going to be away again for the next couple of weeks, and they were so caught up in the drama of Mooseberry Academy
Oh, wow.
that we voted and decided to go ahead and watch next week's video.
Oh, really?
We did, because we are respecters of people.
Yeah.
And we had some people who were not going to be there, and they shouldn't have to miss out. So
That's right. So if you guys need to binge watch Mooseberry Academy,
it's so great because the kids think that I know what's going to happen in the future.
oh, wow.
They're like, but you have the DVD. So they can't understand why in the world I wouldn't just sit there and watch it all.
That you don't know everything that's happening in
I
Mooseberry.
know.
Yeah.
I love the Esther that they think I am.
Right. The kids'
She's
perception of who we are is
great.
pretty awesome. Yeah.
So we are going to figure out which part of the Mooseberry story we're going to watch
Sure.
this time.
Yeah.
No promises. We might have to play some catch up for people who weren't there last week. So we'll watch that, and then while we are watching our videos, we always have our snack time right then. Last week, Mr. Juan brought us some...
The funny guy.
The funny guy,
The funny
as the
guy.
kids call him. He treated us to donut holes for snack, which worked in perfectly with our manna.
Right.
You know, so-
Donut holes, Timbits, bread from heaven, whatever you want to call it.
Similar. What is it? So we will have our snack time while we watch our videos, and then we always break up into 2 groups. And that way, with a smaller collection of kids, we can rotate through our small groups. As your groups get larger, you might want to have 3 different groups. So what I would recommend for that is a craft group, a games group, and then either a missions or discussion group. And so at that discussion or missions group, you can go through these questions that are here on your story time and just kind of delve into those things a little bit and help the kids really find some ways to put this story into practice in their lives. We have a group of less than 20 kids most weeks, and so we are going to break into 2 groups. We'll do a game group, and the game group is going to have a building contest. So each group will have a selection of index cards,
Okay.
and you will make sure that they are evenly matched. So let's say we each have 10.
All right.
So the teams will divide up with their even amount of supplies, and using only these index cards, they will have to build a magnificent tabernacle.
Cool.
So they can do that however they so choose. You give them a certain amount of time,
Yep.
and then but now you can't get to your coffee.
Yeah, but this is a tabernacle.
The tabernacle of coffee?
Yeah. It's
Is that the Ark of the Covenant in there?
The Arabica bean vernacle.
I see.
And it is protected and kept warm.
Okay, beautiful. So
What
he
you mean
wins.
is I win.
He wins. He wins. I'm in. So they will have a tabernacle building contest using the supplies that you give them.
Cool.
And you're going to give them a measured amount of time, and then you could be, I don't know, you might be a monster who comes ravaging through the town and destroys it.
That's always a fun part to get to play is the monster.
I don't know why the
Yeah.
kids love me, but I have a good time. So then for craft, we are going to have the kids actually make a tent. So,
Okay. So
they
everything
will,
is tent related this
Everything
week.
is tent. It's all about the tent.
Okay.
So what they're going to do is on the outside, they're going to draw a beautiful picture, make it very ornate, whatever they want to do. The focus is detail. You want it to be really detailed. And then on the inside, on the inside of this tabernacle that they built was a representation of God's love and provision for them.
Okay.
So inside this, what I'd like for you to have the kids do is draw a picture of something that reminds them that God loves them.
Oh,
Maybe
that's
it's their
cool.
family
Yeah.
or some special thing they have, but some representation of God's love for them. So for some of our kids, that's going to be an easy thing. It'll pop right into their head. For some of them, you're going to have to really work to help them discover a provision that they see in their lives. We've in our children's ministry, we've had some kids with some pretty sad things going on. And so depending on the children that you're working with, please be sensitive to what their issues might be, and help them find some way that they can point to that they know God loves them. Just like those kids who are being visited by the missionaries that we've been talking about, we want to be sure that no matter how difficult our situation might seem at the time, we are assuring these children that God does love them. He is watching after them. He does care about the details of their lives. So help them find something that represents that. So we are going to be in one of our small groups when parents come to pick up the kids.
Absolutely.
And I did not bring back our tear-off sheets.
Oh, well, we're going to have tear-off sheets.
We do. We have
Which
them.
are the little 8.5 by 11 sheets that we give. They're age appropriate. And one of the things that's on those is our weekly verse, which is the same as our unit verse this week, which is Psalm 145:4, which says, "One generation will declare your works to the next and will proclaim your mighty acts." And so we want to really focus in on this verse in particular, close to the end of the time with the kids, because what it leads into is our ABCs.
And ABCs are the gospel presentation that we use to go over with children. This is important that we do this every week, and I know if you're watching these videos, you're going to hear us say this every week because it really is critical. So A stands for admit. And that is, we admit that we have done things wrong and that we need God's mercy and the gift of his Son. B is, we believe that Jesus Christ is God's Son and that when he died, that was sufficient to pay the price for our sins. And then C is that we choose to spend the rest of our life following him. That means, and I break this down really clearly, that means that if what I want to do is selfish or greedy or mean-spirited, that instead of that, I'm going to choose to follow God. And it's hard. I do not sugarcoat this for the kids. Being a Christian and following Jesus is not the easy way. The easy way is to give in to our sinful nature and just to follow that, but God has better for us. And so each week we want to emphasize the love that God has, the provision that he has made for us, and try to say that in different ways for your children. You just don't know when they're going to be ready to hear or how the words need to come out for them. A couple of weeks ago, we have a big yellow rope that we use for various stuff, and I strung the rope out from one side to the other, and we just talked about Jesus covering that gap that there was between us and God. And the kids all got on the rope and walked back and forth, and they were like, so this was me without God, and this is when I'm with him. And
that's cool.
You just don't know. It might seem really simplistic, but that might be a thing that they remember. So don't be so locked into specific words that the meaning of God's love gets muddled.
Absolutely. And one of the things I talk to our leaders about on a pretty consistent basis is when we're tired of saying something, that's just about the time that the people we're saying that thing to are starting to get it. Right. Because it means that we have gotten to the point where we've almost said it enough. Mm-hmm. Now for us, we may feel like we've exhausted it, that we've said it so many times that it's becoming frustrating to us, but it's just about the time that other people are starting to hear it. So especially when it comes to the gospel presentations, and exactly how we do that with the ABCs or whatever method you or your church decide to use, continuing to say it, making sure that it's ingrained in the culture of what you're doing from a leadership standpoint, from a teaching standpoint, but more than that, making sure that you're getting those things ingrained into the minds or the hearts of the kiddos as they're listening week in and week out is such an important thing. So don't tire of explaining the gospel, of sharing the gospel, because like I said, around the time we're tired of saying it is just about the time that others are starting to get it.
Yeah. So when parents come, we'll give them the tear-off sheets. We always check stickers, make sure parents and kids match up. Hug the kids, tell them you love them. Don't be shy to do that. And then we'll be praying for you guys. We're so thankful for the work that you do.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks very much. We love you all, and God bless.